call? Because I'm sure you've seen, with this matter now having been blown and everybody debating the role of police officers in enabling crime, it seems that people were of the view that Katiso Molefe had access to the head of the Hawks. Perhaps they had a friendship, and he was a person that would have been able to dial the number of the Hawks head when there were police officers about to arrest him, and then the Hawks head sent a team there to possibly intimidate the other team. And for ordinary citizens, for them, they feel deeply aggrieved that they would call 10-111 and hardly sometimes they would get the police answering. So the clarity is sought now as to who was the individual, if perhaps it's not Katiso, the middleman who would have had access to the head of the Hawks to say, establish for me who's about to arrest my friend. You believe it's not time to reveal that name?
Yes, I haven't consulted with the person to check as to whether he is ready to be mentioned in public platform. I believe that if...
because maybe the individual that called you would have lied and said they announced their arrival saying they've been sent by Mr. Libeya when they were not. So did you get clarity from the special investigative team as to why, gentlemen, you wouldn't have announced your arrival at the property and indicated that you are a specialist team not sent by me? Because now I have also dispatched members of the Hawks, and now you've got a standoff. Everybody draws out guns. There's two teams within the law enforcement.
They indicated that they have never said that they are coming from the Hawks.
So the middleman lied. Possibly lied in this instance to perhaps get you to somewhat intervene then, because it means there was a little bit of mischief if we are to believe.
I'm not sure who's lying, whether it is.
Guys, it's finally happening. Arrests are taking place, suspensions, people are getting fired all over the place. Things are just really unfolding and escalating at a really alarming scale. So what we have for this evening, actually, I think I went shopping and came back and to see some really incredible turn of events taking place, all right? And I think they're linked to the whole Mkwanazi allegations that just blew up a lot of the rot taking place in the security forces in SAPS in South Africa. So first of all, it begins with Kenny Kunene, who is the Patriotic Alliance boss's really good friend. Gaten Mackenzie argues that Kenny Kunene introduced him to God, I think, in prison. And so they have been close business partners and, you know, members and politicians right now in the parliament, all right? But suddenly, and I don't know if to say unfortunately, Kunene finds himself in the house of another businessman, Katiso Molefe, if I'm getting that pronunciation correctly, because it's argued that this particular Molefe now, you know, has been arrested by SAPS officers, all right? And as at the time of his arrest, Kenny Kunene was found in his house, all right? The SAPS, you know, brigadier, this really smart lady I really love to listen to a lot. She actually breaks down what happened, what transpired in the investigations of this political killings tax team, which General Mkwanazi argues was disbanded somehow because they were getting closer and closer to the perpetrators of maybe some crimes or the other. But his basic annoyance, and one of the reasons why he had to come out in the clandestine way to expose the rot and link some officials in SAPS to this whole case, was because of the fact that this tax team was disbanded, especially I think by the Commissioner of Police, or probably with the knowledge of the Commissioner of Police, Senzum Chun, and he just didn't understand why. Now, this evening, we see that that political task team somehow has been working, or probably kept working in some manner, and it has led to the arrests of 4 suspects who have been accused of being responsible for the murder of one DJ Somebody, all right? That's his name. He's popularly known as DJ Somebody. So it was alleged that the weapons that were actually used in the incident, the murder incident of this DJ Somebody, were also linked to a similar murder of an earlier, murder of a Transnet. It's actually a Transnet engineer who was working for a company, I think, attached to Transnet, all right? So these were two, what many, especially the likes of General Mkwanazi, has called political killings, which the task team in their investigations were getting close to before they were disbanded. You could hear in General Mkwanazi's, briefing to the media that, the dockets were actually, supposedly or allegedly not to be found anywhere, and that task team was supposed to have been disbanded. That's one of the reasons he came out to really expose these things. Now, I think this is where the whole thing gets really sketchy for me. First of all, I think it would be really smart for us to listen to Kenny Kunene explain, and I've seen the comments under this video. People have been commenting about his body language, assuming that he wasn't really being straight. Under the comments, it's really crazy. But I think this is where I know many of you usually castigate the SABC on this channel for maybe its pro-ANC approach. But I think the investigative questions of this journalist here, I don't know her name, but I think that she was really onto something in these questions. She has these interviews with Kenny Kunene and the HAWKS boss. That HAWKS boss, most times I usually see his face in the media, and I'm like, this guy is rugged. I think we need this guy in Nigeria to help us work with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to uncover certain things and all of that. But somehow, and unfortunately, it appears as though that at the point of the arrest of this businessman Molefe, who many of the investigations now, and I've been listening to the police brigadiers and all that, argue that it seems that he might have been the mastermind, allegedly, the mastermind of the killings, especially of DJ Somebody, as at the point of the arrest, there was a middleman in the house at the time who immediately called or placed a call to the boss of the HAWKS to give a quick information that Molefe was about to be arrested, and if the HAWKS, I don't know if probably he called to know if the HAWKS boss could do something to rescue the arrest. The HAWKS boss in this video is arguing, and this is where it also gets twisted. He's arguing that it appears as though there were some people who were pretending to be the HAWKS who were about to arrest Molefe. And so he sent a team to get there. But on reaching there, this team realized that these were the SAPs. And as a result, but at the end of the day, Molefe was arrested. There are 4 arrests. And DJ Kunene found himself in this brawl, which I really don't know if it's gone, if it's gonna go well. But we'll keep listening. But let's quickly listen to let's quickly listen to Kenny Kunene of the Patriotic Alliance defend himself on why he was found in the house of this businessman Katiso. His name is Katiso Molefe, right? Who many now have actually been arguing. I think it was even the allegations were brought to the fore by General Mkwanazi, specifically on this Katiso Molefe that has led to his arrest, right? And also, the next part of the interview would actually be the interview with the HAWKS boss. His name is Lieutenant Libya, on why it is that there was this one person in the house of Katiso Molefe who quickly and immediately called him. Because under the comments of the interview, many South Africans who have been writing there argue that many times when they're in trouble, they call many SAPS officers and the number usually gets hung. There are usually no answers to this call and all that. But how is it that this person who was in the house of a Molefe, who was about to be arrested by SAPS, immediately calls the boss of the HAWKS of South Africa, and the boss picks up the phone and dispatches a team immediately? So those are the kind of contradictions that this interview really mind-blowing. I would advise you guys to watch this video to the end and judge for yourself, because this is, I think, the beginning of something that is beginning to take place in South Africa. We see President Ramaphosa has fired Nobule Mkabane, Education Minister. Today there was another brawl in the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education with the new minister who's supposed to replace Mkabane really being grilled. There's a certain level of public awareness and consciousness rising. There's a certain level of the demand for accountability growing in South Africa, and I think it's something that we really should investigate and follow through carefully. So let's quickly listen to Kunene defend himself in the wake of the arrest of this Katiso Molefe, who many have been arguing might have been the mastermind, allegedly, of the murder of DJ somebody, I think around 2022, and how this whole thing now links the HAWKS boss. This is the boss, somebody I usually see his face many times, and in fact making a video on him sometimes makes me feel like, wow, you know, this guy he's scary, but for some reason he has been linked somehow to these allegations, and it's really unfortunate. Let's watch these videos, guys, and share your thoughts in the comments.
Now, joining me now in studio is Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kenny Kunene. Now, news reports suggest that Kunene was at the Sandton home of Katiso Molefe when police effected that arrest yesterday. Good afternoon, Mr. Kunene. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. So, just given, based on the reports that have emerged, that you were at the home of Mr. Katiso Molefe when the arrest was effected, is this in fact the case?
Yes, it is true that I was at the house of Mr. Molefe.
And what was the nature of the visit? Are you guys perhaps close friends?
No, we are not friends. I think if you look at my online newspaper, it hasn't been that active, and I decided to put together some young people that can then run with it, that are interested in the media space. And to resuscitate it, obviously, and in its own tradition, African News Global has always focused on exclusive stories. So they wanted to do an exclusive story, and Mr. Molefe was a person where there was an opportunity to do a story with him. Remember that he has not spoken publicly since his arrest and whilst he was on bail. And so I facilitated with somebody that I know that knows Mr. Molefe. And Mr. Molefe agreed to do the interview, and the meeting was facilitated.
So you were there essentially as the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, facilitating an interview exclusively?
No, not as editor-in-chief. I am handing the platform as the owner to these young people, because I don't have time for it with the work that I'm doing in the city. And but these matters are very sensitive. So the person that facilitated said, you have to bring the journalist, which I did. He sent me the address, and we followed that address. In fact, he sent me the first address, and then he said, no, don't use this one, use this one. It was just a question of street or road or something. So we used the address, we got there. We drove in. As we're in the driveway, standing, I don't know if it's the son or one of the boys, came running and saying, the police are kicking the gate. And Mr. Molefe came out, and they said, no, open the gate.
So just for clarity, you were yet to enter the premises as well. Is that what you're saying?
No, we're inside the premises.
So you're inside the premises?
In the driveway.
Okay, but there's two of you inside now. It's you and the young journalist you have come to introduce to Mr. Molefe.
No, it's me, the young journalist, and the person that is coming to introduce us to Mr. Molefe.
All right.
The person that has facilitated for the interview to happen. So before we could even go in the house or sit wherever we're going, the journalist will do an interview, then the police arrived. Rifles, Casper, V-classes, and they then asked who is the owner of the house. Mr. Molefe said, it's me, and then they handcuffed him, and they then wanted our particulars, and they called me to ask me these questions, what am I doing there, and I explained to them. They asked me if I've got the number of Mr. Molefe, they want to see it. I said, I don't have his number.
All right.
By the way, you can take my phone, punch his number, and see if I have it. How did you get here? I got here because this person sent me the address. And I can show you on my phone. I got the address, and I came here. I just arrived. When you guys do your drama, I've not even been offered water. So they then asked for my phone. I opened it, and they saw that the message with the address, with the two addresses, came from the gentleman who said, Mtumande, please use this address. And that's how I got there.
So the person who was facilitating the meeting, what was told to you as the reason for you being part of the meeting? Because you could have sent the journalist nevertheless to do that job, I suppose. That he could have gone alone, or did they need the owner of the newspaper as well to be part of the meeting? I just want clarity again on that one.
It's a question of relationships. The matter is very sensitive. The person has not done interviews, but he was fine to do interview with the publication that I own. But as I said, I am now handing it over to these young people that can then run with it on a daily basis. I'm going to give the directorship to one of them or two of them. Then they can run with it. I won't be involved.
Okay.
So it's a question of relationships where, and I'll make an example. Steve Mutale wanted to interview President Zuma some years back. And President Zuma was comfortable, no problem. But I had to take Steve Mutale there. So it's a question of relationships.
So your presence there almost elevated at least the importance of this interview, you believe, even though, according to you, there's no relationship with you and the person who was going to be interviewed.
Yes,
just that the owner coming meant something to him.
No, it's a relationship issue. Look, Brakeni, you must bring the journalist. We don't want somebody here that will come and write their own thing. Will be comfortable if you bring the person for this particular exclusive. And that's what happened. It's not only that. I have taken young people to interviews. I've taken young people. I open opportunities for young people. That's what I do. So I didn't see anything wrong. I arrived there at 12:15 after midday, during the day, driving in my personal car. So it was not an issue that we are taking Uber there, there's a clandestine meeting. No. It was about an interview that would have given these young people an opportunity to now revive Africa News Global, which, of course, News 24 confirmed that when they went to CIPC, I am the sole director. And I'm in the process of the accountant now putting the details of one of them so that they now own it fully, and then they can then run with it. It was a question of perhaps being at the wrong place at the wrong time for the right reasons. Although I believe that I was not at the wrong place.
So never had any encounters with him on social settings, specifically Mr. Katiso Molefe as a businessman? I'm a
socialite before I'm a politician. I've owned clubs, I've owned restaurants. I'm a fun person, but I have not had an encounter in that space, but I had an encounter where the gentleman that took us there, that facilitated, when he did his mother's birthday, he invited me. Mr. Molefe was also there. And it was a question of greetings, nothing much. I went to sit in my corner with my people.
Okay, so at a birthday setting, you once met Mr. Molefe?
Yeah, but not conversation. It was just an issue of greetings, and then I sit. By the way, people will tell you, when I arrive at a place, I greet everybody. Even if it's not my own thing, because I'm warm like that to people. I was taught to greet.
I hope that nobody today says that that specific statement of being a socialite before a politician is misunderstood, but I take it you're saying that at least your introduction to the public was as a socialite, but later on became a politician.
As a socialite and a businessman, and later on became a politician. I've got relationships with many people, be it politicians, be it business people, whatever. So it's an issue of I don't know if the police were surveilling or what, but I don't understand, because it was during the day. We're going to do this. I explained to the police. They satisfied themselves.
Okay. But then let's go to the exclusive interview. Did you guys want to interview him specifically on his arrest for the murder or link to the murder of the engineer Amand Swart?
Yes.
Or there were other issues that you wanted to perhaps write a story on?
That was the issue, and other issues. Remember that General Mkwanazi also said a few things surrounding
when the arrest was to be effected, that the HAWKS were also called while there was a special unit that was there to effect the arrest.
Exactly. So for the young journalists, even for me being in the space, that was going to be the biggest exclusive. It was going to be a mind-blowing exclusive, because the public would have, for the first time, heard Mr. Molefe speak what happened when he was arrested, what's going on with the case, without obviously compromising his case in court. But so that was the exclusive. You saw.
But in hindsight, given everything now and the uproar even on social media, because we've got here an MMC who, yes, in his personal capacity and running a business on the side, had gone to try and get an exclusive interview. It almost embroils this official into this whole saga where the proximity of you and this man is being questioned. Is there perhaps in hindsight a bit of regret, perhaps to say maybe earlier on you should have decided to rather quickly allow the business aspect to run itself so that you don't find yourself in such situations, because now clarity is sought as to the extent of this relationship?
But I'm handing the business over to young people and I must hold their hand. I'm the sole director, so I must hold their hand. So there's no regrets, really, because I didn't go there for anything wrong. And as I'm saying, the police were there, and the police asked pertinent questions to connect me to him. The first one was, do you have his number on your phone? I said, I don't have it. I said to them, take my phone and punch his number. They said, no, we believe you. Then how did you get here? I showed them proof of how I got there. The police were fine. So the police, at that particular time, established that he's not my friend. We are not business partners. But if I were friends with him, I will never deny my friends. If I were there and he was my friend, I would have said he's my friend. If I was there because we had a business dealing, I would have said I was there because we have a business dealing. The man is accused. He is yet to face a court of law. So I would have said, yes, indeed, he's my friend.
All right. Now, as we continue on the case of DJ Somebody, we now shift our focus back to the allegations that were brought to the fore by General Mkwanazi, specifically on Katiso Molefe. Now, on the day of the explosive media briefing by General Mkwanazi, he had mentioned that when Katiso Molefe was being arrested at his home by a specialist team for the murder of the engineer Ahmad Swart, he made a phone call to retired HAWKS head now, Lieutenant General Godfrey Libeya. It was then revealed that General Libeya dispatched a team to the home of Katiso Molefe. The HAWKS were met by the specialist team, which included 10 officers from the KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team. Now, Katiso Molefe is now a man who is of greater interest to the public, not only for the allegations of the murder of Ahmad Swart, but also, of course, Ahmad Swart being connected to the Transnet tender, but now also for the murder of DJ Somebody as well. Now, this afternoon, we've invited General Godfrey Libeya to share with us what was or has been his relationship with Katiso Molefe, a man alleged to be the main actor behind a criminal nexus of drug cartels and tenders. Why would Katiso call the head of the HAWKS and the head dispatch a team? Well, the General joins us this afternoon. Good afternoon, General. Thank you very much for joining us on the program to shed more light on these developments. So let's start with just clarity here. Did indeed Mr. Katiso Molefe call you to say there are members of a task team that are about to effect an arrest and arrest him, and then you dispatched a team there?
Let me put it in this way. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for this opportunity. I would like to clarify it in this fashion. On the 6th of December 2024, we were at Deep Endyberg there in Pretoria for our annual award ceremony of the DPCI. That is when I received a call from somebody else that at some stage we might mention the name, but at this stage I will not mention the name. This individual said that there are people at a house of somebody else who is his friend, and these people claim that they are members of the HAWKS, and they have been sent by me to go to that particular address. So that surprised me. Then I had to check with the Divisional Commissioner for National Priority Offences in the DPCI, because if there is a team that have got to go and do operation, he will know. and he didn't know about that operation. Then because it is in Sandton, in Gauteng, I checked with the provincial head of the DPCI in Gauteng, or do you know about these people who claim to be coming from the HAWKS, who are supposed to be conducting an operation in Sandton? He did not know. And the explanation of the nature of the vehicles that were said to be at the scene created suspicion. You will appreciate that there have been several people who have been pretending to be members of the HAWKS, which we have arrested some of them, including police officials from crime intelligence who were pretending to be members of the HAWKS. You shall also recall that somebody has recently been arrested who pretended to be me. And several individuals have been circulating telephone numbers, approaching people using my photos, pretending to be me. So that's why I had to direct the operatives to say that send the members from the TOMS Tactical Operation Management section of the HAWKS to visit that address and see who are the people who are saying that they have been sent by me, when I have sent nobody to go and conduct an operation in Sandton. Indeed, on the arrival of the members, they confirmed that in fact these people who are there at the particular address are members of the South African Police Service. And that obviously sorted this concern that we had that individual might be pretending to be members of the HAWKS when they are not. So that
just
is
for clarity
how
there,
I sent dispatch the members.
Okay, so just for clarity there, you were unable to ascertain as to which team is the special investigative team that is effecting this arrest at that specific house of Katiso Molefe at the time. Perhaps for clarity as well, it might be necessary to know who made the phone call, because I'm sure you've seen, with this matter now having been blown and everybody debating the role of police officers in enabling crime, it seems that people were of the view that Katiso Molefe had access to the head of the HAWKS. Perhaps they had a friendship, and he was a person that would have been able to dial the number of the HAWKS head when there were police officers about to arrest him, and then the HAWKS head sent a team there to possibly intimidate the other team. And for ordinary citizens, for them, they feel deeply aggrieved that they would call 10-111 and hardly sometimes they would get the police answering. So the clarity is sought now as to who was the individual, if perhaps it's not Katiso, the middleman who would have had access to the head of the HAWKS to say, establish for me who's about to arrest my friend. You believe it's not time to reveal that name?
Yes, I haven't consulted with the person to check as to whether he is ready to be mentioned in public platform. I believe that if the situation reach a stage where the commission of inquiry is set up, that individual will be able to come forward. For I know the name, I will be able to divulge that. But obviously that Katiso Molefe does not know me. He has never met me. I don't know. My telephone is available to members of the public. And those that get access to it from time to time will be making calls. But here we have got a person who was complaining that there are people who pretend, who says that they have been sent by the HAWKS, and it was not the HAWKS who have sent them. That's why we have got to go and check. We can't sit back and then thereafter, when they are victims, they say, but the HAWKS were informed. So there was nothing wrong that the HAWKS have done. They have gone there, not to go and interfere, to go and ensure that the people who are there are legitimate, they are doing legal work. If they are suspects, obviously they were going to effect arrest, like they have done with other people who pretended to be members of the HAWKS.
Did you raise perhaps your concerns around how they announced themselves at the house of Katiso Molefe, because that's what would have created the confusion? Did you get clarity from them? because maybe the individual that called you would have lied and said they announced their arrival saying they've been sent by Mr. Lebeya when they were not. So did you get clarity from the special investigative team as to why, gentlemen, you wouldn't have announced your arrival at the property and indicated that you are a specialist team not sent by me? Because now I have also dispatched members of the HAWKS, and now you've got a standoff. Everybody draws out guns. There's two teams within the law enforcement. So did you perhaps speak to them about that why would you not be forthright and indicate which team you are from?
The individuals that were there indicated that they have never said that they come from the HAWKS. So that is when my members were there interacting with the one in charge of the operation, they indicated that they have never said that they are coming from the HAWKS.
So the middleman lied, possibly lied in this instance, to perhaps get you to somewhat intervene then? Because it means there was a little bit of mischief, if we are to believe...
I'm not sure who's lying, whether it is that individual or is the members who were there who did not identify themselves properly.
Because those members are part of the force and they effected an arrest. The gentleman is currently standing trial for the murder of a Mount Swarton engineer and now is linked to DJ somebody. So perhaps maybe in this instance, your members of the force might have been telling the truth, but we don't know, especially because right now we don't have the identity of the individual who had called you. Do you have any relationship with the individual in any way?
It's a source that from time to time they will be providing the information. The person who phoned is not a Molefe. He didn't have a link with me. The person who phoned indicated it appears that they might be friends. But obviously, indeed, the members that we have sent there are legitimate members of the DPCI who obviously have got to ensure that law is observed, and we can't allow individuals who are there that the people feel that they are victimized under our name. We sit back and do nothing. So we did not send the members to go and disrupt. We sent the members to go and enforce the law. That if there is anyone who's pretending to be a member of the HAWKS, when we did not send anybody, we need to deal with that person.
So what did you make, though, of at least how it was communicated in the briefing by General Mkwanazi? Because it seemed to allude to some sort of a syndicate that is enabled by police officers, that perhaps there was an element to try and intimidate those who were from that specific task team meant to effect an arrest, that it was almost to indicate to them that this is a powerful man who knows a lot of people, and with one phone call, another division within law enforcement can also arrive at that home. What do you make of just the way it was communicated then? Because it seemed as though there were agencies within law enforcement that were here either enabling crime or looking to intimidate another grouping.
Yeah, I think that obviously one have got to be understanding how operations worked. I will take it that the information did not come directly to him. It shall have been informed by those who had the information. When we get this kind of information, we analyze, and before we publicly conclude that this is the case, that information needs to be verified. Nobody on a higher level engaged me to check precisely what has been the developments. From where I was sitting, we receive on a daily basis several information, and we treat it as information that need to be protected. So I saw nothing wrong that we had to ensure that if there is somebody who is making a call, we need to dispatch the people to go and check precisely what is happening. And when they have found that, no, it is a genuine, legitimate police operation, then they allowed the process to take its course.
Lieutenant General, our country seems to be at an ethical and governance T-junction, where perhaps through the national dialogue we're hearing of, the nation will choose a path for a better society. Crime is at the top of the issues. And citizens, I'm sure you've seen on social media, everywhere across the country, are becoming so dejected at the thought that possibly the enablers of crime could be some within the force who must be protecting us. What do you believe needs to happen? Because on your own admission, you've said there have been instances where law enforcement officers have been arrested for being part of criminal activities, for impersonating or at least going into effect operations that were bogus. There have been kidnappings where some police officers were part and parcel of this. What needs to happen?
Yeah, I think that the state president shall have pronounced that he need to put a commission in place. I think if the constitutional court challenges that are currently pending are dealt with, we might see the commission taking place. One is just hoping that that commission, the terms of reference might want to go a little bit backwards so that we go and see what are the challenges. History will tell you how I have been treated in the organization from 2009. You shall understand how we tried to deal with the challenges in crime intelligence. There are several issues that have not been attended to. Some of us made an offer to appear before the State Capture Commission, but obviously it had limited time. So there are things that have not been interrogated and be heard. I believe that the establishment of inquiry, whether is the commission or if it doesn't pass the constitutional requirements, maybe the inquiries by Parliament or whichever body, we will be able to know the truth. The people who have got information will put that forward so that the information can be tested and a conclusion which is informed by evidence can be reached.
It sounds like you're painting a picture for us of a lot of issues within crime intelligence. Hopefully there can be some sort of a commission beyond this one, because many are complaining that perhaps the scope of this specific commission mustn't be expanded purely to allow for this truncated timeline to get to the bottom of the issues now, confine itself to justice issues, but you most certainly raise points with a broader inquiry. But Lieutenant General, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and just sharing with us at least insight as to what would have been your role in that specific matter that General Mkwanazi had spoken about when they were attempting to effect that arrest. Thank you yet again for your indulgence.